Welcome to The Rest is Giant Robots, a conversation through the careers of writer Simon Furman and artist Andrew Wildman. Recollections and revelations about the highs and the lows as creatives in comics, books, games, film and TV. Hello.
Hello.
And a Merry Christmas.
Yeah, slightly before Christmas for us, but hopefully the people watching this will get the idea.
Yeah, well, the plan is to get this done and for me to get it edited and then sent out before Christmas. So I will do that. If this has landed after Christmas, I apologise in advance, but it should
Well,
be
hey,
before. So what, as it says behind you? So what?
so what?
For those who are watching this on video. For
Yeah,
those watching this on video, for those of you who aren't watching this on video and you're just listening on Apple Podcast or whatever, Spotify, etc., you need to subscribe as a Prime member. If you go to wildfur.net and subscribe, so you can see this as a video. So Mr. Furman has his Christmas jumper on and his Santa hat, and then a Starscream in the snow backdrop with a big banner that says it's Christmas across the top, and then a speech bubble from Starscream saying, "So what?" So what? I'm in the studio with on my computer screen. There's a wraparound Transformers cover, Christmas cover from 1989, I believe that one was.
Mm.
So yeah. So sign up as a Prime member, then you can see all of that, or just not, and
Yeah.
miss out.
Miss out me on your Santa hat,
Yeah, okay. What have you been up to then, Simon?
Um, kind of work, but a few forays into London, which I'm going to talk about a bit more when we start the podcast itself, just because
Mm.
one of them was very Transformers related. And yeah, just basically getting ready for Christmas, really trying to get all my work done,
Mm.
so I can take some time off over Christmas, which would be nice.
What are you actually doing at the moment, or are you not allowed to say? What is your...
No, I can talk. I'm working on the next series of Astrobots,
Okay.
um, which is actually the fourth series, even though the second series is only pending.
Mm.
In terms of publication. The guy who runs Astrobots, who created the toys, is just sort of marching on with the storylines. So we are, fleshing out the world, and Guido Guidi, Transformers artist extraordinaire, is drawing Arc 3 for us, which
Cool.
is rather wonderful.
Yeah.
And Aaron, who created Astrobots, was telling me that this is probably stuff I shouldn't tell anyone yet, but we have some nice variant covers for the second series from some great Transformers artists from the Dreamwave era that you might not have seen a lot from recently. So some nice
Mm.
things to look forward to there with Arc 2 of Astrobots. And then, yes, as well as working on Astrobots, I am working on a series for Titan Comics called Skull Island, which is based on the animated Netflix series that had one series and then unfortunately didn't get a second series. So this is a loose-ish adaptation of what would have been series two of that show.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Over two 4-issue miniseries. And then there's Earth Wars and other bits of Transformers stuff that
Mm.
gets slotted in as well. So yeah, it's nice and busy, not too busy, so I can focus on a little bit on writing the Gyre, which is the sequel to 5 Points that
Oh, yeah.
that Martin Stiff is drawing at the moment, um, and is looking amazing. So yeah, lots going on. How about yourself?
Not as much as that. I'm working on I don't know whether I mentioned this before. I'm working on a movie that's funded by Saudi Arabia. So I was approached completely out of the blue by um, an email came through that Saudi Arabia wanted to start producing Hollywood style films. So like on a fairly big budget and make big like adventure, crime, drama, comedy, whatever, all the big kind of thing. But for the internal market, so they're all, in Arabic or Farsi or whatever language. Um, so I thought, well, this is a bit weird. Anyway, then I spoke to the production office, and it's actually being directed by the guys that did uh, Bad Boys Ride or Die. You know,
Oh,
the Will Smith thing.
yep.
So they are proper legit, Hollywood
Mm,
directors. They're a couple of Belgian guys. So the whole of the production office is pretty much Belgian, although it's written by an English guy who spoke yesterday, a Scottish guy, I must say.
mm,
God, that's
yes. Oh,
terrible.
blimey.
No,
Yeah. Ooh.
I'll edit that a bit out. No, no, a nice chat. And so it was interesting to have a chat with him because, it's an interesting production to go through. That's obviously having money thrown at it. Um, it's quite sporadic as to how much I do and when, but it does seem to be it's gonna be long term.
Mm, good.
I'm also storyboarding a TV series or part two. I think it's two episodes of a TV series for Channel 4 called Summer Water, based on a book. It's kind of a small cast, creepy ghost, weird thing,
Mm,
you
okay.
know. But it's with a director that I've worked with a lot before, Robbie McKillop. So that's kind of fun.
Mm.
Um, that's it, really. That's
Well,
enough. That's enough
sounds
to give you
enough.
that.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, yeah. But no comics. I've just started to write my third book. If ever, I don't know if I'll ever
Oh,
get it done.
okay.
I haven't
Cool.
got a title yet.
Right.
The working title is Dark.
Okay.
Give you a sense of,
Yeah, yeah.
But it's essentially a kind of horror thing. Not like full on horror, but psychological horror drama. Yeah.
Mm,
Mm.
excellent. Good.
Mm.
So, shall we
Press the button. Yeah.
press the button? Yes, I
It's
think
your
we should.
turn.
It's my turn. All right.
Yeah.
Excuse me while I get rid of my strepsil.
Oh, you naughty boy.
I
Eating in class.
know. Yeah. I just realized I can't talk properly while letting it slowly dissolve or whatever. So, anyway, enough detail there, I think. Right. Welcome to a special festively themed edition of The Rest is Giant Robots, episode 10. Oh, no,
11.
11. I've got it wrong already.
You you opened
Uh,
the wrong little advent door there, I think.
yeah. I'm Simon Furman, writer on Transformers, Astrobots, Leopard from Lime Street, and a whole bunch of other stuff.
And I'm Andrew Wildman, comic book artist back in the day on Transformers, Spider-Man, X-Men, blah, 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 and now Transformers artist for TV and film. Hello, Simon. Merry
Hello,
Christmas.
hello, Andrew. Merry Christmas, albeit a few weeks early, but this is the way of podcasts, I suppose.
Yeah,
And for those of you who can't, see the video side of this, we have tried to make it a little festive here in our respective offices.
yeah,
So I am bedecked in a Santa hat, which is flickering in and out of focus because of my virtual background. And that virtual background is the cover to Transformers issue 145, which
yeah,
features Starscream. And the little banner headline reads, "It's Christmas," and Starscream is going, "So what?" Which we kind of loved as a cover concept back in the day. And
yeah,
we're gonna talk a little bit about, you keep the festive theme going by talking a bit about Transformers Christmas covers.
yeah, yeah. In my studio, I've turned the camera around the other way because I was fed up of people seeing my completely as yet unfinished, part built, undecorated studio. But it doesn't look too bad this way around. So, apart from wearing my Oxygen t-shirt, which has Luna, if anybody knows my graphic novel Oxygen, Luna, because she looks like a Christmas tree bauble. So I thought I'd put that t-shirt on. And
There we go.
behind me on screen, not a virtual screen like Simon, but just literally on my computer screen behind me, um, I've got the artwork for the Transformers issue 250, UK 250, 1989, apparently, he said on it. Um, with various Transformers characters having a party. I'm sure many of you will remember that one. There's a few details on there that still make me chuckle that I've put in. I don't know how much. Did you give me the brief for that one?
Doubt it. I think I was freelance by then.
Okay, I wonder who that would have been then.
Ewan, maybe Ewan Peters took
Oh,
over
okay.
from me. So it could have been Ewan. I don't think Harry Candelario had taken over by this point.
Oh,
So
okay.
I think it was Ewan who
Yeah,
probably commissioned that cover.
yeah.
And actually that issue features the last ever originated Transformers Christmas story.
Does it? Mm,
Because, you know, about 30 issues later, the origination stopped. And although Christmas covers continued, or for a short while, the strip, that was the last sort of, you know, Christmas themed strip in that
mm.
issue.
So who did the story then? The internal story.
I normally, and you know, this is maybe we might as well talk about this now, but back in the day, you know, maybe we'll work up to 250, but
Oh, okay. Yeah,
you
let's
know,
do that.
let's do that because that's kind of the end of the story almost. But you know, first of all, it's worth saying that in British comics there was already an existing tradition of festive Christmas themed covers. You know, it had been running for us, you know, since I was a kid and used to pick up IPC titles or
Mm.
DC Thompson. There would be a, you know, a dusting of snow on the logo or you know, a Christmas story on the cover, or you know, there would always be a Christmas themed issue because with weekly comics you could time it pretty much to the issue that was going to hit newsagents just
Mm.
before Christmas.
Yeah.
And so when we were doing Transformers, and you know, this is Ian Rimmer, of course, who was editor then, he was keen to continue that tradition of having a designated Christmas issue. And he also started, as well as, you know, John Tomlinson bedecking the cover with holly and snow and tinsel, he started the tradition of doing a one-off Christmas story for that issue, just a 111-page story. And the first one was, I think, in issue Brain Work for Me 41. And that was a story called Christmas Breaker,
Okay.
which featured Circuit Breaker and I think Jazz or Jetfire. No, Jetfire was a later one. Jazz, I think, and Circuit Breaker, and they were always slightly not exactly out of continuity, but you know, because they were Christmas stories, they were a little sort of more focused or character led.
Mm.
And yeah,
Mm.
that was the first one, and I think that cover to issue 41 featured Optimus Prime in a Santa hat, which is why I decided I would do this one in a Santa hat
Fair
in
enough.
the spirit of that. And you know, and that tradition just continued, you know, throughout the 7 or 8 years of the comic's existence, that
Mm.
every nearest to December 25th issue it would be a Christmas cover. The transformation page would be similarly sort of festive looking,
Mm.
and there would be a Christmas story. And it was one of those ones where I think James Hill wrote the first one. Maybe Mike Collins or James Hill wrote the second one, which was a Jetfire story
Hmm.
in issue 90 something, 95, some anyway, there or thereabouts, 93 maybe. Now I think about it. Anyway, that aside, and they were generally not written by me, even though I was the main writer.
Mm.
The tradition was we handed the Christmas story over to another writer, and that's fair enough. And it sort of got to the stage where when I was also editing the comic, I would start to do a little plot synopsis and then hand that off to a writer.
Hmm.
So, whether it be Ian Rimmer did, I think, the Starscream story behind me,
Yeah.
and then following ones were always because you drew one, didn't you? You drew Cold Comfort and
Yeah.
Joy,
Yeah. I remember it well.
which was your first story of interior art.
Yeah. 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 Wow. Long time ago. When was that? 80,
87 maybe, or 88, even
probably,
88 probably.
probably 88. Yeah.
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 Yes. So, it was always that idea that we would, have a not a guest writer exactly, because they all had a connection to Transformers in the past.
Mm,
But it was one of those ones where I was more or less happy just to hand over the reins and give
mm,
her maybe a story, a paragraph about what maybe it should be. But funnily enough, that cover you've got behind you, issue 250,
mm,
that had a story called The Greatest Gift in it, which is the only one I wrote from scratch, because it was actually part of a little trilogy of stories. And the
yeah,
gist of it was Optimus Prime, at great expense to the Autobots and everything, gets hold of a little nugget of matrix energy with
right,
which he is faced with a choice. He's got all these deactivated Autobots lying around the Ark, and he could choose one of them to revive, more or less. And it's a kind of, well, which one should I um, do? Who's the most worthy of this gift? And
mm,
in the end, there's a little eco theme running to it that the Autobots and Decepticons, through their battles, have damaged the whole, the Earth ecosystem,
yeah,
and and Optimus opts to just fire the bit of matrix energy at Earth to try and repair the damage done to the
oh,
planet.
oh, bless him.
I know, yeah, but that's what that was always the way of the Christmas stories. They always had a little bit of a somewhat out of character, maybe heartwarming moment.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Although, how out of character is that for Optimus? I
no,
don't know. I always felt he was, yeah, he'd do the right thing, you know.
no. But the Starscream story that we've been talking about very much was a kind of a grudging bar humbug Starscream finally saying Merry Christmas to the kid in the story.
Oh, okay, yeah, nice. I can't remember what the lead time was on those. So, for how far ahead would like when I did Cold Comfort and Joy? I can't remember how far ahead I would have been doing it to Christmas.
Oh,
Um,
probably a good way.
Yeah, not like when they do TV, like all the Christmas shows are recorded in June or something like that. It's
No,
probably not quite like that. But
no. And knowing how bad our schedules were generally, it was probably a month or two before.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, no
yeah.
more than that.
It's interesting actually. Certainly in Cold Comfort and Joy, there was. I mean, we spoke about this a little bit before when we were talking about that first job, that I did on the Transformers comic in a previous episode. But I think we talked about it then that there was some. I always like to put little Easter eggs or whatever. An Easter egg in a Christmas story kind of works. I don't know. Anyways, I don't know if it's called anything else, but
A
um,
Christmas pudding,
a
maybe.
Christmas pudding, yeah. um, there's a scene where I think there were two cars or whatever driving down the street, driving down a street. So I've got this snow-filled street and a sign that says Bedford Falls because that's a reference to It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and I've said it a few times before about the local cinema here that I'm a founder member of. They're showing It's a Wonderful Life actually on the big screen there. I might go and see that.
Oh, brilliant.
But
Yeah. It's
but
great
also
fun.
there was a TV show recently where somebody referenced It's a Wonderful. I can't remember which show it was. I don't
Oh,
know whether
yeah,
it was Day of the Jackal or maybe
uh,
not.
it, I think it's something I've seen recently, so I wonder what that was. Because yes, it does. There was something I clocked recently, and
Yeah.
I can't think what it was now.
Or was it before? Was it the Billy Crystal thing? don't know if you've
Hmm.
seen that on
No,
Apple.
no, I haven't. No, I don't know what it was. So maybe I just saw something else with her. I mean, I think it's very reference
Yeah,
that.
yeah, very much so. Yeah. I mean, I mean, I just did it because it was Christmas, and I don't know why I did, but well, probably because when I drew that strip, a lot of that strip, I was actually staying in Bedford. I was living in Nottingham at the time, but we moved down to Bedford briefly because we were having work done on our house. So the whole Bedford Falls thing, I always thought was kind of funny in the movie. It's like, oh, there's a Bedford in America. Of course there is, you know.
Yes,
Um,
there's an everything in America, really, isn't there?
yeah, but yeah, wonderful film. It's basically a Christmas Carol, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's an epiphany movie.
it is, but it's kind of, it's quite bleak as well, given that it deals with suicide or
Yeah.
attempted suicide. So,
Nobody
yeah,
remembers all of that kind of run up when they very often,
mm.
if you only saw it many years ago on the telly and then it came up again, he's like, I don't remember all of that. But yeah, when you've seen it a few times, it's like you get the power of that. Everybody thinks it's a wonderful kind of feel good Christmas movie all the way through, but you know, it turns out that
Yeah,
way, but not.
and
Anyway, yes.
yes, so yeah, that is indeed another Christmas tradition, really, that film. I tend to, it's always on over Christmas, and I always tend to watch it.
What is your number one Christmas movie? You got to give the obvious answer here, Simon. I know.
Well, to me, and this sparks a little controversy as well. To me, it's Die Hard.
Of course.
You know, it's that ongoing, is it or isn't it a Christmas movie? And if you watch it again, it is so a Christmas movie. It,
Yeah.
you know, it it's from the opening scenes and the sort of the little bells in the music.
Mm.
It's 100% a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I mean, as much as as much as people say, well, just because it's got snow and it's set around Christmas, it's not actually anything to do with Christmas. But it is purely because it's about family coming together.
Mm.
Going through all odds to get home for Christmas kind of vibe.
And if you look at it, with Christmas in mind, it has reference to Christmas all the way through it,
Yeah.
right up to the tape he uses to put the gun on his back is Christmas wrapping tape.
Yeah.
And then, he sends the dead hoodlum down dressed in a Santa outfit with ho ho, now I have a gun, ho ho ho. So, it's just once you watch it again, there's no doubt in my mind it's A Christmas movie, and B, definitely one of my favorite.
Yeah, and they're showing that at the local cinema as well.
Yes.
I have to go and see all it. So it's great to see old movies on a big screen.
Yes. And Die Hard is one of those movies that is so superior when you see it on the big screen.
Mm. Yippee-ki-yay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what about you? What's your favorite Christmas movie?
I think It's a Wonderful Life. N- Yeah, not for the happy ending and all that, but just because it is such a journey of somebody in that Christmas Carol sense. It is somebody who's like completely down, and then, Christmas comes along and makes it okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't even think of any now. I feel like I'm on a
I mean,
quiz show. Can't
the
think of
funny
any.
the, the funny thing is there are also Christmas movies that aren't Christmas movies, but because they always show them over Christmas, it becomes a Christmas movie, like The Great Escape or
Yes, yeah.
The Italian Job. So many of these things that have nothing to do with Christmas become Christmas movies just because inevitably they're on over Christmas.
Yeah, and I think that was because we're exactly the same age. And so growing up in the 60s and 70s, I mean, films, when they came on TV, it was a rare treat to go to the cinema. And in films, it was a good 5 years before a film would come on to TV. So there was not a big supply you know, of them. And for some reason, they did show. They probably showed The Great Escape 2 years in a row or something, and then that was it. It was rubber stamped as Christmas movie, and then it was probably referenced as being on at Christmas, bizarrely in other things, brought up as a bit of comedy, and And so it stuck for people of our age. That really, really stuck as yeah, a part of Christmas, along with Morecambe and Wise and all those other TV tropes. Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think my other more favorite, more vintage favorite is Miracle on 34th Street, which is
Okay.
just superb. I can
Mm,
watch that again and again, and it doesn't sort of pull, and it's sometimes saccharine sweet, but they manage to do it and get away with it really well, I think.
yeah,
If you haven't seen it for a while, watch it. It's brilliant. Richard Attenborough.
yeah. That was a remake, wasn't it?
I maybe.
I've got a feeling there was a version from a long time before that. I don't know. I don't even know if I've seen that Richard Attenborough film. Yeah,
Yeah,
don't know.
I mean it's quite an old film, but
Mm,
it's definitely worth that. That one is another sort of easy one just to sort of, you know, slightly sort of, after a few festive drinks, settle down in front of.
yeah, yeah. The other one I haven't seen. Oh Christ, I can't remember the name of it. They were talking about it a lot recently on social media, whatever. The Hugh Grant thing with the multicast. Um, what's that one called?
Lo
Is
Love
it Kurt?
Actually.
You Love Actually, yeah. Don't think I've ever seen
Yeah.
that either.
No, I don't think I've seen it the whole of it. I've seen bits of it, and
And
I don't think I've ever sat down and watched it from start to finish.
yeah, and that's become something that lots of people just that is their Christmas. They all gather around and they watch Love Actually.
Yeah. It's funny,
Anyway,
isn't it? When put on the spot, you can't think of them, but there must be loads of great Christmas movies, and I can't think of them offhand. But there you
mm,
go.
there you
But
go. Yeah,
just comes down to Die Hard for me.
yeah. So Christmas comics then.
Yes,
How many Transformers Christmas stories were there in the UK book? And did they ever do them in the US book?
don't think they ever did them in the US book. We must have done. I think there's four or five designated, must be five designated Christmas stories. There's
Right.
issue 41, issue 93, issue 145, issue 198, and issue 250. I think those are the five completely Christmas storied and everything ones. There
Mm,
may well have been a, an issue that came from one of the very, very early issues
yeah.
when it was fortnightly, may well have come out in at Christmas 1984.
Right.
So that would have been the 40-year-old now one. Which issue it was, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure there is, within the first 10 issues, one issue that was cover dated December 20 something.
Mm, mm,
And then after that, after 250, I think there's at least one more festive themed cover before the axe fell.
right. Hang on a minute. My screen's gone off.
It's like that's it, Christmas is over.
That's it. Yeah. Pew, gone.
So yeah,
Yeah.
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 And like I say, that it was a grand tradition, and any every just about every comic, it seems, even 2000 AD did, you know, the sort of, the slightly, bleak humor of Judge Dredd style Christmas covers. There was often sort of merry drocking Christmas creep, kind of cover.
Yeah. And what about annuals though? There were Transformers annuals, were there back in
There
the day?
were. And the funny thing about annuals is, as we all know, they get done a long time before Christmas and
Yeah.
come out a good chunk before Christmas as well. Even though certainly growing up, annuals were always a really festive trope for me.
Mm,
There was always one or two comic book annuals
yeah.
in my stack of presents. But yeah, you couldn't really. It was. I don't know whether we ever themed them Christmas wise, though. I think we just assumed that they would come out a few months before,
mm,
and then they wouldn't particularly be relevant as Christmas things. But
mm.
yes, we did the Transformers annuals, every year. And again, there must be 8 of those, maybe. Yes, possibly 8.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I did do something in at least one. Um, but yeah, I mean, the other annuals were very Christmas themed, weren't they? I mean, I was the Dandy was. I used to have that one. I didn't have Beano. My brother had the Beano. I had the Dandy Christmas annual.
Yeah.
After that, I can't remember what annual I had, but probably a football one, which I don't know if that had anything to do with Christmas, but But yeah, they were a big British thing, weren't they? Nice
Yeah.
hardback annual.
And there was also a tradition of, although they weren't themed as Christmas, there was always a winter special. Often there was a summer special and a spring special as well.
Right.
But there was always a winter special, and I seem to remember a few of the winter specials getting a little dusting of snow, courtesy of whichever designer was on the book at the time.
Yeah. It'd be easy now in Photoshop, just press the snow
Yes.
dust button.
Yeah. But that
But
all had
it's
to be layered on in back in
layered
the
on,
day.
hand drawn by someone in the office. Can anybody draw snow? Yeah.
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 Well, as I say, John Tomlinson, who was the designer on Transformers when Ian took over as editor and I came over as assistant editor, John was big on the sort of the festive trimmings,
Yeah.
and would go that extra half mile. Excuse me, would go that half mile every extra Christmas issue.
Right. Yeah. Fabulous. I
But
was going to
yeah,
say something. Yeah. Well, I was going to say something. I can't remember. Oh, yes. Yeah, the other slightly, completely non-Christmas, but I guess it's slightly. I mean, anything that's got snow on it. I mean, we never have snow at Christmas, but anything that's got snow on it, like your background there, you immediately
yeah,
think, oh, that's to do with Christmas. My
yes,
40th anniversary, Transformers 40th anniversary print that I did and was selling at TF Nation, that's Prime in the Snow. Not anything to do with Christmas, other than the fact I was referencing Cold Comfort and Joy. So, in terms of the
right.
40th anniversary and my career on Transformers, the print I wanted to do, it was like there was so many, the more I thought it, and then the more I overthought it, the more questions popped into my mind. It's like, which prime do I do? Do I do the classic prime, or do I do Power Master Prime? And I will do it in the snow because that was the first interior strip work I did for the UK comic. But it's like, oh, if I'm doing it in the snow, it ought to be Power Master Prime. I don't want to draw Power Master Prime. I want to draw Classic Prime. I'll draw Classic. And there was all these questions, and I ended up with what I ended up with. But yeah, he's standing in a massive snowdrift, which covers all the bottom part of his legs pretty much. That at a glance, like somebody very close to me looked at it and said, "Why has he got really short legs?" No, he's standing in the snow. Looks like he's got short. Looks like he's got really short legs. No, it doesn't. He's standing in the snow. What's the matter with you?
Yes,
But
yes.
yeah,
And didn't that one issue of Hulk you did, wasn't that a snow story? I don't think it was a Christmas one
yeah,
exactly, but it was very
no.
snowy as I remember.
Yeah, I guess that was the setting. I don't know where it was in the Arctic or Canada somewhere. I don't know where it was set, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was just the setting that was snow. So when Bobby Chase asked me if I wanted to do a fill-in issue of Hulk, I mean, I was absolutely made up because it was a very successful book at the time, with an incredible artist on it. I thought, well, A, that's a lot to live up to, but B, like, wow, what an opportunity. Um, but the thing that was slightly disappointing with that is that because it's set, because of where I guess because of where it's set, the Hulk is like wearing some overalls. I can't imagine the Hulk feels the cold, but for some reason he was wearing these overalls. It's like I want to draw the Hulk proper, but there you go. But yeah, it was
Yeah.
set in the snow. I quite like. I quite like drawing stuff in snow. I wasn't scarred by my experience from the Transformers editor telling me how much cold comfort and joy wasn't good enough. But maybe it's a fond memory because it furthered my career. But
Yeah,
um, yeah, so that whole episode was definitely in the snow, and then also the other memorable snow image um, is the cover to X-Men Adventures #6,
right.
which is Sabretooth and Wolverine, that now iconic cover
Yeah.
that I fought to do. The chief editor didn't want me to do it, but I said, no, let's do it. It's going to look amazing. And he was like, oh, well, okay, we'll do it. But, I don't really approve, but it did really well. I mean, it was become a bit of a classic now and one of those covers that I'll never sell. But that was set in the snow. There's just something just more, I don't know what it is. It's just the bleakness, fluffy as it looks. It's the cold bleakness. And anyone who knows what it's like to drive in the snow, it must be like that when you're trying to fight in the snow. It's just like you
Yes.
can't see anything.
It always makes me think of that infamous issue of Alpha Flight that John Byrne drew, called
Right.
Snowblind, I think. And it's just a whiteout. And so it's just characters wandering around on a completely bare background, basically. And I seem to remember at the time people saying, well, that's the way to draw an issue and not have to do the same amount of work because there's no backgrounds.
Yeah. Did he even put any footprints?
Can't remember. It definitely was one of those ones where, a few people thought, well, as a gimmick, it just feels like you've done less work for the issue, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. He probably suggested, I've got a great idea. Let's do it in the
Yeah.
snow,
Well,
ulterior motive.
I mean, of course, he was writing and drawing it, so yes, I'm sure it originated with him.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic.
But you
Well, I've
don't.
worked on sorry, go on.
No, no, I was going to say you don't find many Christmas themed covers in Marvel US at all. I
Mm,
think there's one. God, is there a? Sometimes Frank Miller Daredevil issues were set in that kind of time. I don't know whether it extended to the covers, but certainly I remember. I think it's Born Again. Some of that
mm,
set around a festive thing because somebody is dressed up in a Santa suit or something. And anyway, but I
right.
don't know whether it extended to the covers. And I seem to remember a cover of Spider-Man, what, a spectacular maybe, that had someone in a Santa hat on it, but it was rare. I think that
Yeah.
they risked with deadlines and schedules and the way they can go to hell. I think it was just too much of a risk.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose it depends on the editor. If there was an editor who'd always, books were always on time, they'd probably take that risk. But for some, it'd be like, I just can't,
No.
just can't do it. Or my creative team is so unreliable, I can't. We don't want it
Yeah.
to come out in February.
And how about you? So you were going to say something then, and I interrupted you.
Yeah, working in TV, um, a couple of Christmas shows. So one, I worked on a preschool show called Rough Tweet and Dave for the BBC, which also appeared in America on Sprout. 2 seasons of Rough Tweet and Dave. Just lovely, lovely little kids show. And I was the I wasn't storyboarding then. I was the production designer on it. Um, so designing pretty much everything. And there was a Christmas episode. I don't know whether it's season one or season two, but there was a Christmas episode which when that came up was like, oh, this is going to be awesome, just designing all this stuff and having to design Santa and his sleigh and the reindeer, like concept and design, all of that was just great. It was like a child artist's dream come true to just draw all that stuff and put your own stamp on it. So it was kind of fun. Um, And then I think on the show that I co-created, Shane the Chef, which was on Channel 5, um, there was there was a Christmas episode or probably just a winter episode. I can't remember now. Um, but both of those shows had the same big kind of event, which was, I mean, they're both CG shows, so they're computer animated. But you have to in the computer, all the models had to be built and all that kind of thing, and reuse of models, etc., etc. But then come a winter episode, you just flood the whole virtual environment with snow, which just makes it look completely different. It's just wonderful. Change the lighting on it and everything. So that was kind of fun. It depends. It's kind of, it's always hit and miss as to whether the budget you've got will have your characters to be able to interact with that computer generated snow, and whether you can have footprints and whether the vehicles going through will create any kind of snow
Yeah.
wake, all that kind of thing. So some shows do and some shows don't, depending on the budget. But yeah, they're always good fun to do with their nice happy ending. Ho ho ho.
Yeah, actually, that reminds me that there is one other little Christmas tradition that I carry on to this day, which is on Earth Wars, Transformers Earth Wars, the little tablet game. They always do uh, I suppose what they call a skin for a couple of characters, and it's always a festive themed version of whichever two characters they choose.
Right.
So this year, and then they asked me to do some bespoke dialogues to go with those characters. So this year it was Optimus Primal as a kind of Yeti style ape. Um, and instead of his sort of hoverboard that he uses in the show, he's snowboarding.
Right.
and 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 Megatron, Dragon Megatron, is this Beast Wars. This is
Hmm.
is a sort of ice dragon skin. So and it's always fun because the dialogues can just be as flippant and breaking the fourth wall as you like.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I do every year. I do the little festive dialogues for Earth Wars.
So how long have you been doing that now, Earth Wars?
Oh, blimey, 8 years, maybe
Really?
more.
Wow.
Yes, I know. It rolls on and on. It's either 8 or 9 years. I forget which. But yeah, it's one of those things where just in the background, it's not a huge amount of work. It's kind of a chunk every 2 months I do for
Mm,
that.
mm,
But that has been a sort of steady bit of work for something like 8 years now, which is
yeah.
incredible, really. I don't think anyone expected it would still be going, pretty strong as it is now. But yeah, it's the amount of work I've done for that, which is just somewhere sort of in the computer ether,
Yeah.
it'd probably be a massive stack if you sort of did it as a pile of paper. It's
Yeah.
just it's just weird. It's out there, but there's nothing physical.
Mm, yeah. As is the way with the digital world. Yeah.
If you can hear me coughing, it's because I have a slight other Christmas tradition, which is the Christmas cold at the moment.
Yeah. It's all right. I'll snip that bit out.
Yeah, yes. Edit out the snuffles and the coughs.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll have to do a New Year episode as well, and we'll talk about what we've got planned for the new year. That might be quite fun.
Yeah, yeah. It'd be nice. Maybe we'll do an episode. Next episode of more upcoming stuff. Talk about a few of our projects and any conventions we've already got lined up for next year.
Have you got
Um,
any lined up? You don't have to say
ye-
what they are, but have you
no,
got any
yeah,
in the
yeah,
can?
couple in the can. There's a couple, I can't talk about yet, but there's a couple that are fairly locked in, and I think there won't come as any great. Well, one might, but yeah. So that we can talk a little bit about our plans and our hopes for 2025.
Yeah, 2025. Good
I know.
grief.
Yeah,
How did that happen?
I know. Sounds like a song, 2025, doesn't
In the year 25, 25. Oh no, 20.
it? Yeah, 25. Yes.
Not there yet. Yeah,
Uh,
good. Anything else? I
yes.
think we're done, aren't we? Are we done?
I think we're done. I think that's a nice little festive package, tightly wrapped and delivered.
Yeah, fabulous. Good. All right, everybody out there, have an amazing winter break, whatever your version of that is. Um, and I hope you have a nice, easy slide into 2025.
Yeah, happy holidays, everyone. And just to say that the rest is giant robots will continue on into next
Yeah,
year. We're not just doing it as a 40th anniversary thing. We're barely a a hop and a skip into the story, really, because we keep diverging and whatever
keep
else.
making out other stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
Go-
but we
going
have
off
got
piece, going off piece. Yeah, snow
very, very,
reference.
very good. Yes, there'll probably be an avalanche of them now, really. Sorry. But just to say that we have got some big episodes coming up. We've got, a big reveal about something that happened around 2004, 2005 that we'll get to, which no
Oh
one
yeah.
knows about outside of us and maybe a couple of other people who were involved. Nobody really knows the story, and I think that's going to raise a few eyebrows.
Yeah, 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 I think it will. I'll be interested to hear your recollections of that.
Yes. Yeah,
See
it
if they're
was
the
it
same
was
of mine.
yeah, it was both a interesting and daunting proposition that, you know, one of those ones we'll talk about it at the time, but there's a lot we can talk about in hindsight as well about what did or didn't happen then. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, it was an interesting one. But yes, definitely stay tuned. There is going to be a lot more stuff coming up.
yeah. Fabulous. All right, Simon, great as always. Nice to talk to you. Love the hat, flicking on and off against your
Yes.
virtual background.
Yes, I think probably sort of, advanced epilepsy is setting in to anybody watching the video of this come and go. But anyway, yes, on that note, thanks everyone. Thanks, Andrew. And we'll
Yeah.
see you in the new year.
See you soon. Okay, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to The Rest is Giant Robots. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider subscribing for more and maybe share with like-minded friends. This has been a Wildfur production.